Danny Jones, you're watching Bantams Small Talk.
Valley Parade, and we're with Greg Abbott. We're just doing a quick sound test. If you just want to say something, Greg, and we'll test your microphone.
It's good to be in it. You were very, very early, which is really good, nice and efficient. We're good to go.
Yep.
Heaters are on.
Yeah. Right, so just all you have to do to get another edition of Bantams Small Talk here at Valley Parade, sponsored by Building Timber, more than just good wood. Today, I'm absolutely delighted to be with the one and only Greg Abbott. How you doing, buddy?
Good, mate. Thanks for having me.
And first of all, thanks for agreeing to do this interview.
No problem whatsoever.
So we'll crack on. My first question is, I don't really want to dwell on the past too much, but who do you blame for our relegation and our decline? Why do you think the club went so heartbreakingly long?
Well, that's a tough one to start with, Nick, isn't it? That's a real big one.
Yeah, I thought we'd get that out of the way. Hopefully, have a bit of fun.
Hopefully we can have a bit of a laugh after this one. Yeah, I get that. But no, listen, I think when a team or a club gets relegated, I think whether you like it or not, and whether you're fully responsible, part responsible, or a little bit responsible, everybody takes a little bit of the blame, you know. So I was at the club in that period. I've always been brave, always been honest. So I'd have to say that, you know, to an extent, that I was part of a situation. Didn't work. Whatever we tried, didn't work. But I would have to say when one person gets involved in almost every area of the football club and makes some catastrophic bad decisions and doesn't let the expertise that they've already got within the club do their job properly, then one man, if he's going to take that responsibility, has got to take more responsibility than anybody else, you know. And we're talking about the you know, people that were running the club higher up than Stuart McCall and Greg Abbott and myself, even higher up than the groundsman and the accountant and the secretary, the kit man, and first team coach, fitness, sports scientist, almost every area, recruitment, almost every area of the club. You know, you can't do it on your own, and if you have to take responsibility. And I'm afraid that for me was probably the biggest issue of where the club went wrong. Certainly, you know, the connection that from the fans to the club has always been fantastic. And I think, you know, that was probably the biggest single thing that stops a club progressing, is when your fans have distanced themselves from the team and don't enjoy coming to the football club. You have a big problem. You do, because I must admit, to begin with, I stuck up for him, but I regret that now. So. Yeah, I mean, listen, everybody thinks that. I mean, we as staff, players and staff, you know, non-playing staff, tried to make it work. We tried to almost channel, you know, people in the right directions, because I think Stuart, myself, Kenny Black, Chris Shaw, Steve Banks, Sam Collins, who have been round football for years and years and years. Me and Stuart, 40 years. We started together at 16. You know, 40 years together. You know, be told by other people that have had, you know, literally less than a year, you know, to connect to a football club, what is right and what is wrong. We found that difficult, and we got it wrong. As a club, it went completely wrong, and you know, Stuart sacking at a time where the club was, the club and the fans had almost disconnected completely. That was the final straw. You know, the fans didn't accept that. Yeah, and it went from bad to worse. Anybody coming in as a player or as a coach or a manager at that time was always going to find life very, very difficult. There was a very, very naughty, nasty atmosphere, which I've never ever experienced at Bradford City in all of my career.
Right, that's fine. Thanks for explaining that. We'll now move on to something a bit more possible. I've been doing a bit of research on Twitter and Instagram and places like that. Now, you actually started your career with your hometown club, Coventry City, and before moving to Bradford, when we were Division 3 winners. And what was it? And did you play for more than 300 games for it?
Yeah, more in League and Cup, nearly touching 400, I think. League games, I think it was touching 300, something like that, but League and Cup was...
What I'd like to ask you, what can you remember from that season and signing for City? And obviously you came with some of your fellow teammates from Coventry. What was it like? What do you remember from that? And who did you move with?
Well, what was it like? It was... I didn't even know where Bradford was. I was 17 when I came in. I actually didn't know where it was, and I'd got 3 clubs to go to: Oxford, Blackburn, and Bradford with the three choices. And I came in, and on the first day I played a game at Peel Park. It's not even there now, the pitch. not Peel Park, sorry, Thornbury Roundabout, where the Agra is, behind the Agra. There was a pitch there that City used, and I got pulled off at half time and told to come to the ground, and I thought I was on my way straight back to Coventry, and when I got to the ground I didn't know that Roy McFarland had been at the game.
Wow.
And I said, Gaffer, I thought I was doing all right, you know. I said, I'm surprised I got took off at half time and then told to come and see you. He went, well, it's not such bad news. He said, the reason you've been took off and told to come and see me is because we wanted to sign you straight away before Blackburn or Oxford got wind that you were going to be a pretty decent player. So it was a good story. And then I walked into the dressing room, the senior dressing room the next day, and the likes of Peter Jackson and Barry Gallagher and Mike Lester, Daisy McNiven, Stuart and Mark Ellis, people like that were there. And I thought, everybody's almost born in Yorkshire. There was only Bob that was obviously not born in Yorkshire, but there was a local. And there was a real friendly, united togetherness about the dressing room, made me feel really welcome. And that's how I signed. And then I went on to play, you know, quite a few games. That's the next season, that season. That was 82, 83, I think was my first season. And then obviously 84, 85 is getting promotion. But my first memory of the camaraderie and the team spirit was going up to the Bellevue, just up the top of the road where we used to go for a pint. And
don't think I've been there, but
well, you probably might not have been there, but it was well known, and I'm glad you've not been there, because it was well known. And I was in there having a pint and enjoying myself, and with all the players that got me there. And in walked Roy McFarland. I'd only been at the club 3 days, and I'd been set up by the players. And he caught me having a pint with the lads, and he took me down to the ground. I thought I was going to get a telling off, and he just said, "You're going to be a good team player. That's what we do every now and again." So that was my first early memory.
I've got to ask you, who was your best mate whilst playing for City, and why? Who did you really get on with? Did you connect with any particular players? Who were your best buddy?
Yeah, I think it's a great question, and I think the answer to it is we were so close. Almost the whole team became friends. But I think if you went out for a drink, which we did, and all the team used to go out, I think you'd find Bobby Campbell, Joe Cook, Cess Pod, Barry Gallagher, Peter Jackson, Dave Evans on one side of the room, and Stuart McCall, Greg Abbott, John Henry, Mark Ellis, Martin Singleton, Don Goodman on the other side. So we had the young group and the more senior group. But I think I would have to say the young group, we really connected. But I lived with Stuart McCall for 2 years. Stuart looked after me and his family when I first came up to the area, but we grew very close, and we had sort of two groups. We had a young up-and-coming group who used to cause trouble, and an older, more experienced group who used to make sure we got out the trouble that we'd got into. So it was a really good family togetherness. But Stuart looked after me. I lived with Stuart for a few years, went on to live with John, Henry and Martin Singleton when they came up from Coventry. They followed me up as my old teammates. So, but everybody was really tight and got on with each other.
Who was your best, going to our next one, who would you say your best signing was whilst you were at City?
Oh. Well, he didn't look a good signing at the time, but he looked a better signing now. So is Owen Doyle. We thought Owen Doyle would. I mean, we brought Owen Doyle. We wanted to bring Owen Doyle into and Macaulay Bonne. Macaulay Bonne's now playing in the Championship for Charlton, which would have been a great player, but we weren't allowed to. But we thought that Owen Doyle, Macaulay Bonne, and Charlie Wyke would have been the perfect strike force. They were young, they were fit, they were mobile, they were different. One could hold it up, one was a header of a ball, one could score goals, and one had a bit of everything. The goal scorer was Owen, the one that had everything was Macaulay Bonne, and Charlie was the one that got on the end of crosses. So, Owen would have been a good signing if we'd have played him properly and played him with the right players around him. But I think if I have to nail me to the mast, I think the best one we brought to the club was Lewis O'Brien, who we paid £400 for. That was all we played for his loan contribution. And when we were paying some of the players over £2,000 a week, pound for pound, I think Lewis O'Brien was outstanding for the club in terms of he came at a really tough time. He gave everything. He was only a young player, made his league debut here, but I think he put a lot of players to shame with the way he went out there and performed, and his attitude and desire was something that's very, very synonymous with a Bradford City football player.
Now, do you ever watch Soccer AM?
Not really. I don't get time, Nick.
But I will. I was lacking you interviewed Roger on there, so I thought I'd have a go myself. Now, what I want to now ask you after, it's called First. So, who was your first idol?
George Best.
Your first goal?
My first
goal?
My first goal that I can. My first goal was Lincoln away. I came on a sub. We were 1-0 down. I think I equalised. I think Peter Jackson won us 2-1. New Year's Eve. It was in 1983.
Your first crush? The first lady you liked, perhaps?
Oh, wow, this is going to upset my wife and me. First lady, what's her name, the Swedish? Ulrika. Ulrika.
Yep. Go on, your first curry, because I love curry.
First curry was at the Magal restaurant on Leeds Road, and I asked when I walked in, where's the knife and fork? Not in Bradford. It was on a Formica table. It was a chicken and prawn du piazza, and it came with 3 chapatis. It was sensational, and I still go there now. And
you might have already covered this, but obviously your first manager, that have been at City, did he play in a lower league to begin with? Or?
No, I mean I was obviously at Coventry when Gordon Milne signed me, and then Dave Sexton take over. They were both top managers. I have to say, obviously the first manager that signed me and played me was Roy. I think I made my debut just before he left at Millwall in the Group Cup many years ago. But I've played in some good guys, but listen, I've always been a player that I give everything, so managers have no real reason to question me. Listen, every game was not a great one, but if you try and you give everything you've got, well, people can very rarely point the finger at you.
Exactly. So, completely right. Now, what I got to ask you, when you joined City, did you have to do an initiation song, and what was it? And can you give us a quick example if you did?
I can't give you a quick example because nobody had ever watched this show if I started singing. So I was a terrible singer. It's the worst thing in the world. Stuart McCall would sing for everybody. He loves singing, and he still does it now. Every time he's had 2 or 3 pints and we're all together, we have to sing a song. I still struggle now. Not because I don't want to do it, I just don't know any songs. But I sung Like a Bridge Over Troubled Water. Why, I don't know. It was nervous panic. I nearly got thrown in the river at Appley Bridge because it was that bad. And I think I got 3/4 of the way, and they thought, no, this kid could drown. If he's swimming's as bad as he's singing, we might never see him again. So it was Like a Bridge Over Troubled Water, Art Garfunkel, a horrendous rendition. If I'd had my time again, it would have been Dexys Midnight Runners, Come On Eileen. Dead easy, and it got the crowd going, it got the lads going, and they'd have joined in. Made a big mistake.
Yeah, we're going to move on to the next question. Although I think we're playing a lot better than we have last 2 previous seasons, we're still having indifferent performances. Like, we'll play well one game, and then the next game we'll seem to not play. So why do you think that's still happening with the club, even though we've got a completely new team? It always seems to be.
I don't think you're on your own. I don't think you're on your own, Nick. I think it's something that happens in League One and League Two, where the players you get, you're always telling them the right things to do. You're always giving them the right instructions, and you're always giving them the right formations. But they are lower league players because there is a mistake in them. There is a mistake in them, and we have to be patient as supporters. That League One and League Two players, the best ones, when you get some consistency and you get the best, they generally get sold. Yeah. So you end up then with other players that have got a little mistake in them or a little bit of an inconsistency around their football, and I think that's why. But I think at the minute we've got a team that's set up to do well in League Two, and then when we conquer League Two, which I'm sure we will this season or definitely for next season, I think then you've got to then slightly bring in better players as you go up and as you step up the leagues. And I think that's what we tried to explain to our past chairman, but they didn't understand what was going on. And that was the information we'd say. Get a team for the league, get out the league, and then get a team for the next league. And improve things as you go along.
Exactly. Well, you've just answered my next question, because my next question was going to be, do you think we can get promoted out of the first attempt?
It's not an easy league, but no league's easy. League One and League Two, they're not easy leagues. I remember Leeds United being in League One for about 7 or 8 seasons. Huddersfield, Sheffield Wednesday, Sheffield United. Now, they've got out of there and they're doing really, really well. But it takes time. People have got to stick together. They've got to be patient, and you need a little bit of luck along the way. So this year, I think they're one of the stronger teams, especially now the fans are back on side. They are like a 12 man. I don't care what anybody says. When this crowd are behind you, they are the best in the league. Probably the best in League One by a million miles, and that's what we lost, and that's why life was so hard. So I think with their backing, with their support, the direction they're getting from the top with Julian and the manager now who knows the level, knows how to deal with the level, Gary Boyer, I think they've got a great chance this season. If they don't do it this season, they'll certainly be right up there next year. Yeah, and I'll just crowd quick. When people are saying I agree, why do you think we're not playing 4-4-2? Because we win. I must admit, we do win when we play 4-4-2. We look a lot better. Even better. Listen, the game is all about winning. The manager is probably a question you'd have to ask the manager. Yeah. The modern game is going down the road of a lot more people playing 3 midfield players and players supporting from behind. But you still need to get players in the box. It's all right playing 4-3-3, but if you're going to do that, your 2 midfield players, your 2 number 8s, or a number 10 if you've got one, have got to join the number 9. They've got to make runs past him. They've certainly got to make runs in the box, and the opposite wing has got to come in off the wide areas, and they've got to score. So everybody's got to contribute. So the system is built to make you solid, give you more comfortable possession, but you've got to have runners, and the game is now it's now lacking midfield players who used to get in the box.
Yep. I'm going to go on to the next question. At the current squad, who's your most impressive signing and why? Who do you like the look of? Mine's Ron, although he hasn't been scoring as many as he should be, but I still like Ron. And I've got him on my shirt.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think that a lot of the squad has changed. There's been a big change over in players. I mean, listen, if you look at the forward options that Gary's got, if they're all fit, they should, with Clayton and with James Vaughan, the two wide players. When Pritchard's played out there, when Dylan Connolly's played out there, Connor Wood, when he gets into positions, puts in really good balls. He's got great delivery with his left foot. He gets high enough up the pitch. So there's we're a lot stronger at the back. They take less chances, less risks. They're playing probably less football, but they're playing the football in the opposition half majority of the time. But there's a good organisation. I think as a team they look like a more solid, organised team without being what you would say really expansive and absolutely blistering on the eye. I think they're effective. They're organised. I think they're a team that's well put together for this league.
Yep. And out of all the players, what would your starting 11 perhaps be if we had everybody fit, if Donaldson were fit, which I think hopefully he'll be back soon because I think we're missing him.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult because you're asking me a question where I don't see the players on a day-to-day basis now, and I think you have to put your trust in them in the manager. I mean, what I would say is if I could, you would try and find a place for Donaldson and James Vaughan in the same team. If you possibly could have two real strong attacking options. And I think James, the times I've seen him, has led the line on his own, and he's looked a little bit isolated at times. But with Clayton in there running channels and occupying centre forwards, it might just create a bit more space for James Vaughan. But like I said, the manager knows how the team should play, why it's set up that way. And to be fair, when the question was asked, I think it was one of the games where he brought. I think it was Shrewsbury in the FA Cup when he changed it and brought a couple of midfield players on, or midfield player and a full-back. He came out and was really honest about why he'd done it, because he said that when they played before, three at the back, it worked for them, so they changed the system to suit the opposition they were playing. So he came out, and all you can ask for a manager is to come out and explain why you've done something, and like I said, fans then just have to say, yeah, that's right, he's the manager, he gets paid and not paid by the decisions he does and doesn't make. We have to leave him to it.
I've got to ask you, what inspired you or made you actually want to become a footballer?
Listen, as a kid, it's all I did. We didn't have the things that are available to us that they have now. There wasn't any side issues. It was football or sport of some sort. And as soon as I could sort of walk, I was kicking a football around and dreaming of being a captain of England, winning the World Cup at Wembley. I won a trophy at Wembley. It wasn't as a player, it was as a man.
Next question to you, Greg, is what inspired you to be a footballer? What made you want to be a footballer then, bud? Please?
Listen, I think it was something that was just you were born into it. I mean, in the days where I was growing up in the mid 70s, late 70s. I think the first thing you did was pick up a football. We didn't have the things available that the kids have got now. There's no other distractions really. It was football or some sort of sport. And as long as I can remember, I picked up a ball as soon as I could start walking. I was kicking it and dreaming of being a captain, winning the World Cup final for England at Wembley. Wow. Unfortunately, I didn't manage that, but I did manage to win a trophy at Wembley in 2010 with Carlisle as a manager, which was the next best thing. There was over 50,000 in the stadium, and very proud day for me and all my family. But yeah, it was. Listen, I've done 40 years on the spin in the game, so it's a long time to be in football, and very proud of some of the things we've done. Wish they've had a bit more guidance at times and a little bit of help, but no, football was always the dream. And listen, we're still sitting here now at 55 years old talking about Bradford City, and that's a pleasure. It is.
Now we're going outside of football. What other hobbies and interests have you got outside? Do you play golf, or what do you do?
I did play golf. I played a lot of golf, and certainly as when I was playing, we got a lot of time to play. But as we start coaching and managing, and you have family and grandchildren and all that sort of stuff, you don't get as much time. And after I had the operation 18 months ago, it was difficult. I just didn't have the strength to play golf. So I've not played golf for 2 years now. So cooking. Like cooking. So stop the golf, love cooking, and I actually love, and I talk to all the Asian community, when I go for Indian food and Bangladeshi food, that they tell me how they do stuff and give me some tips, and they've invited me into kitchens at different restaurants, and I love it.
Yeah, let's pass them on because I like cooking as well.
Well, there you are.
What I've always wanted to do is, I like curries, but but I want to know how the Indians actually do it. I want to try and find, like you do, I'd love to go into a restaurant and
there's nothing like, is that we try and we make, you know, curry's the English way, but until you go in there and use all the spices, the fresh spices and how they put them together, brilliant. And it is definitely much nicer. And I've nearly mastered it. Not quite as good as them, but I get a few pats on the back when I do make a homemade curry. Yeah,
we'll just go on to the last couple of questions now. I don't know whether you've ever, have you ever watched my brother disability team play? Because obviously we play on the pitch sometimes. Have you ever watched us play, and what do you think?
With all the workload that we get, we've never really, I've never seen the team play. Probably more exposure and when and where they play would help, because it's something, you know, because I actually got to know quite a few of the team in my time here. It would be great if we got the fixtures and they were out there,
so you could
see them, to come down and see you play, and you know, you can get as much pleasure out of playing on that pitch as what we did, you know. So up to now, the answer is I haven't seen the team play, but I would like to do it at some short time in the future.
I must admit, I hardly get to play for them because I work on like Sundays, and then in the winter it's a bit cold for training.
Yeah, I get that.
But obviously it's really difficult because I don't like letting them down.
Yeah.
But then I do. And I don't want it to sound like making an excuse or anything, but I feel the cold really a lot more than everybody else.
Yes, I get that.
And then, obviously, I work Sundays.
Yeah.
And what I have to do is, I've either got to take it as a day's holiday, which I don't mind doing, but if I use too many, then I'll have none left for my main holidays.
Yeah.
But then you've either got to get, like, you can arrange for someone to cover your shift.
Yeah.
But you can't just have it off until you find someone to cover your shift, and I can never get in.
Yeah, it just shows, doesn't it,
exactly.
the lengths that you guys have to go just to get the time to play football. So I think that if we can get some sort of fixtures, then, you know, it'd be nice for, you know, some of the like John Henry, he's brilliant, stuff like that. Mark Ellis is round here, he's, you know, we come down and ex-players and just show you a bit of support. So you let me know when they are, and we'll try and do our best to get
that's no problem. So I want to thank you for your time, for coming down, Greg, and thanks for doing this interview today. Once again, sponsored by Building Timber, which is more than just good wood. Thank you, Greg.
Brilliant. Thanks, Nick. Cheers buddy.
Gary Jones, you're watching Bantams Small Talk.